So we made it inside. We're in CenturyLink.
Seahawks!
So
Seahawks!
we're here at the Atlanta Falcons game, where Atlanta Falcons are visiting the Seattle Seahawks. You're watching Walk Talk Hawks. Blue Thunder, take it away. So as you had seen, there's some shots of the game that my mom and I had went to last week, the Falcons game. We're gonna review that, show you a few clips of that game, as well as shots of us at the game. And then let's also talk about our matchup against the Niners, our second matchup against the Niners in Levi Stadium. And then let's give you some suggestions for fantasy football for this week, Seahawks style only. All right, what do you guys predict the score is going to be?
51-0.
27-16.
Or
27-16.
I don't even know if the math is 2-0.
All right, so let's talk about the Atlanta game. The Falcons came over to CenturyLink and played the Seattle Seahawks. As you guys know, we lost last minute. It wasn't actually a last minute loss. Blair Walsh had an opportunity to tie the game with a field goal. It was a 52-yarder.
Got it. And it's going right to the middle. Oh, short. Oh, dang. Short. Short.
3 positives from the game. Rushing was a positive from Russell Wilson. He had 86 yards. Mike Davis, he was a bright spot definitely for the running game. Came out of the practice squad. He only put up like 18 yards, but he averaged about 3 yards per carry. He unfortunately hurt his groin. J.D. McKissick, he put up 4.3 yards per carry. He was the second leading rusher for the squad. Another positive, Tyler Lockett's return game, 197 yards. He averaged 39.4 for kickoff returns. Or Sheldon Richardson, he was a great pickup for us. He had 1 big sack that we needed at the end of the game. He had great 6 tackles as well.
I hope we win. It's going to be the toughest game of the year with some of our people missing.
All right, so without Sherman and without Cam Chancellor, how is our secondary going to do? What do you think?
It depends on the guys stepping up. I think they'll step up, and Sherman and Chancellor stepped up when it was their turn. That's all we can hope for.
Exactly. All right.
A couple negatives, or a few negatives. Russell Wilson's interception. Looked like the pass was just right behind Tyler Lockett as he ran the slot, and then unfortunately Desmond Trufant caught an interception. It looked like Russell Wilson was throwing exactly right to Desmond Trufant, and I just had said in last week's episode, Desmond Trufant couldn't hang with any of our wide receivers. They couldn't hang with Doug Baldwin. There he goes and gets an interception. I think that was kind of a jinx on me. He also had that fumble where I would say that's a negative on Russell for not holding the ball. However, it doesn't seem like the offensive line is able to hold the pass rush long enough to give Russell Wilson his time. And as you know, Russell Wilson holds the ball a little bit longer than most quarterbacks. We had actually 3 misses, I would say. Blair Walsh missing that field goal, that key field goal to take us to overtime. Ott for missing that block on that trick play for the field goal. If Ott were to make that block, or if the defensive pass rusher did not beat us so bad, Luke Wilson would not have been tackled. And as if you could see in the clip that I'm about to show you, there was a wide open lane. Paul Sylvie from King 5 actually pointed that out, that if the block were to be successful, a blocking play, what have you, Ott would have made that block, Luke Wilson would have had at least a touchdown or a first down. And then Jimmy missing a key catch. There was a great pass from Russell Wilson right in the end zone. Jimmy Graham was on his back. The ball went right through his hands.
I still rock your shit because I'm still Jimmy Graham faithful.
Yeah, we're still Seahawks faithful. We still have hope.
That's right.
So let's not, lose that. Stay motivated.
So what's up with this Niners game? We gonna win this Niners game?
We're gonna win.
Okay.
I say
What's the
by
score?
14.
All right. What's
Let's
the score?
say 28-10.
28-10. All right.
All right, so let's go. Let's talk about the Niners game. The key factors for the Niners game. Jokel, he could be back for this game against the Niners. That would team him up with Dwayne Brown. They would pretty much lock up that left side. So you got Dwayne Brown as the left tackle. You got Jokel at the guard. So that whole left side, obviously comboed with Justin Britt. So that whole left side could help our running backs run left if they wanted to. Shaquille Griffin is out this next game with a concussion from last game. He came out of the game early last week. So with that said, our secondary is pretty much depleted. Byron Maxwell and Jeremy Lane will be back, so they're part of the Legion of Boom from a few years ago when we went to the Super Bowl against the Patriots. So great thing about that is that Byron Maxwell has had a full week's practice. He came back to us after getting cut from the Dolphins and he had been sitting on the couch, so that's a great thing. Another key factor is we're gonna have to contain that rookie quarterback of the Niners. He had a great game last week. He was not sacked once last game, and he had a couple rushing touchdowns. He had a great game last week. I'll put the stats here on the bottom, right there. We need to contain Carlos Hyde. He dropped 124 yards on us last time we played. As of recently, we've been stopping a lot of running backs in the running games from other teams. Earlier in the season, when we played the Niners and when we played the Titans, they had some really big plays. We should do a better job this game, but really Carlos Hyde is the key factor for the Niners this next game.
Let's go!
All right, so let's talk about fantasy. Seattle defense. I would start your Seattle defense. For the most part, I would start them. I trust them more than any other defense. Sheldon Richardson showed some promise last week. I think our defense is going to do a really good job on the middle linebacker side. As far as the pass rush, I'm a little worried about the secondary. Russell Wilson, I think he's a start. He's hot. He's probably played the best I've ever seen him play this year. I expect him to throw another touchdown to Jimmy Graham, possibly get a touchdown to Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin is definitely a start. He's always a start. He is still due, like I had mentioned before, a couple seasons ago, he had 14 touchdowns. He led our team. So at this point, I feel like he's going to break through, especially with a weak 49ers defense. There's only really one person that could guard him, is potentially Eric Reed. Paul Richardson, I would start Paul Richardson. Russ hit him last week for 5 catches. He had 56 yards. He was actually leading us early this season in touchdowns. He has 5 right now, which is more than he's ever in a while. Tyler Lockett, I would probably sit him or use him as a flex player if you don't have anybody else. There's potential there, but I wouldn't trust it. I would just say sit or put him in as a flex. I had mentioned to you that Jimmy, I think I'm going to guarantee you that Jimmy Graham's going to get a touchdown. There isn't any player on the Niners that is as tall as Jimmy Graham on defense outside on the secondary. So at Jimmy Graham being 6'7", all Russell has to do is throw it up there in the red zone and he'll go up and get it. Russell, trust your boy Jimmy Graham. Use a Jimmy. # use a Jimmy. Luke Wilson, he's a sit. He's a great blocker. However, he is not a threat for fantasy football. I would not. Let's go to the running backs. Eddie Lacy, sit. He really hasn't done anything for us. Dwayne Brown and Luke Jokel on the left side could help. We'll see what happens there, but I would not trust it. I wouldn't even pick him up. I would just leave him. Thomas Rawls, that dude needs to prove himself. He still has fire. Darrell Bevell was saying, he's really fiery. He doesn't let the blocking happen. So he runs into what looks like coverage first, or he tries to go just knock some people out, which he ends up getting stopped. J.D. McKissick, I think he's a sit for now, but I would watch him. He's getting a lot of plays, getting a lot of catches. Last game, he had 30 yards of rushing, which isn't very much, but 23 yards in passing. So he's putting up some multi-purpose yardage. I believe earlier this season he had a touchdown too. So Russell is watching him. He's a fast guy. He's like in my opinion, he's like a mini Marshawn Lynch, especially with that hair. My prediction for this Niners game in Levi Stadium, I'm gonna say that the Seahawks win. Of course, I say that all the time. Seahawks win. It's going to be a 3-touchdown Seahawks game with a Blair Walsh field goal. So I'm gonna say the Seahawks 24, the Niners 10. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks!
Oh, go Hawks.
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
See!